Hey everyone, Carrie back here with Homeschool Coffee Break, where we help you stop the overwhelm so you can take a coffee break or a tea break or I don't know, Pepsi break or whatever kind of break you need. You can take a break, Mom. Today we are going to talk about summertime. Fun ways that your kids can learn this summer without a formal curriculum. Too often, and y'all have heard me, I get on my soapbox. You think you need this curriculum, you're going to check off all the boxes. That is not education. That is just checking off all the boxes. You know, we're going to talk about something different that I think can add to education, whether you're a year-round homeschooler or you're a traditional one like I was, who went from Labor Day to Memorial Day. God rested on the seventh day. I decided I need a break every year as well. Um, but we never gave up learning in the summer. And today I want to show you how to keep it going without the overwhelm. Fun activities, reading tips, all sorts of things, especially negative attitudes. So I want you to remember that when summer comes, let's just say you're like me and you do actually take a break, or you're a year round and you sort of slow down a little bit. We are not quitting education. We are not quitting learning. It's about changing the rhythm. Just like I said, I needed a break. My kids needed a break, but we never stopped learning. It did not look like textbooks, one, because I quit using textbooks, but we wanted to continue to learn through fun, through reading and great books, food, projects, creativity. So, one, two, three, four. I think there's about 4 or 5 things that I want to share with you today. And we are going to start with my favorite. And this, we did this even when my kids went to private school and early elementary, and that is reading through the summertime. No matter if we were homeschooling or they were in private school, we still read aloud always, even through high school. I had a mom ask me, when do you quit reading aloud? I'm like, never. You always keep reading. My kids were in high school. As long as they were in our home, then we were reading aloud to them. It was a family culture. It builds so much. You're going to get conversation, relationships, build vocabulary, a love for books, and rotate those books so everyone's enjoying something that you're reading aloud. Well, we pretty much still read in the morning. And depending on our evening schedule, because we had Little League and things like that, then Steve would read in the evening as well. Another thing that was reading aloud. There's so many things you can do. You can let your kids talk about the story. My kids were talking about Little Britches, the series, one time in the van. We were driving somewhere, and Steve had been reading the series. We were about at book 3, and all of a sudden they're starting to say, "We're so glad we don't have a grandpa like that. He is just not very nice." That was spontaneous. That wasn't like mom saying, "Hey, what do y'all think about Little Britches, the book, the grandpa, and all of this?" No, they were just like really upset with this man. They had internalized the story. And so that's where you want to get to, where we just talk about it naturally, maybe at the dinner table, at breakfast, or whenever. So read alouds are a great way to continue reading through the summer. Quiet time after lunch. I don't know that we did this as much in high school, but up through junior high, we did every after lunch. I needed a break. They needed a break. Every kid had a quiet time. And this is book time, rest time. And not all of my kids loved learning, but it was a rhythm in our family. It wasn't a specific time. Whenever we finished lunch, we got cleaned up, then off they went. It was so interesting. I was at my book club this morning and someone mentioned the series now, something un oh, I wish I could remember it. It was a series that unlikely events, the series of unlikely events or something. And it was like lickety someone. Anyway, it was one of the only series I could get Hunter to read in elementary. He did not like to read, and I was always searching for it. And that was a series. I'll have to look it up and put it in the show notes. But if you have a kid that doesn't like to read in elementary, that might be one that you do. The other thing we did since they were like itty bitty was the library reading plan. My girls do that. There are so many reading programs in the summer. My girls are like, go sign up at Half Price Books. You get a free book if you do whatever they tell you to. The library, you can mark it off or say, this is my goal. You meet the goal. And for us, they were always giving out little coupons and tags, and I don't know. It was free and easy motivation, lots of fun prizes. So look to see what you have in the area. And maybe even not in the area, you may be able to sign up for an online reading program in the summer. Everyone's like, yeah, get our kids to keep reading in the summer. And so hopefully as homeschoolers, we're just doing that naturally. So read alouds, quiet time after lunch, library programs, family reading goal. It's a while before I sort of came upon this, but we decided we would have a family reading goal. And the reward for meeting that goal was something big. About 3 hours away from us is New Braunfels, Texas, and they have a great water park thing called Schlitterbahn. And it's not your typical city one. There were like trees because it's built on a river, like a real the river, Colorado River. And so if they met, there were several years, if they met that goal, then we spent a day and we went over to New Braunfels and we spent the day at the water park. Set a family goal, not just individual goals, make it the whole family, make it a team effort, and make it something big. Not just like, okay, we're going to have movie night. Well, if you have movie night all the time, that's not very big. Make it something so that over 3 months, they are excited and looking forward to it. So read through the summer, number one. Number two, the gift of boredom. Let your kids be bored. It is healthy. I've been reading a book, The Anxious Generation. I'm going to do a podcast on it when I'm finished. But we need to let our kids be bored without a screen. I don't have an iPad, but you know what I'm talking about. We need to let them be bored because boredom sparks creativity. It also sparks emotional regulation and self-control. Don't fill every second with activities everywhere. Let their brains rest, and you won't believe the ideas that come from. I've watched some of my grandkids. They're sort of bored. They're up in their room and they get some paper out and they're drawing and writing a story. My granddaughter in January, I think it was January or February, she is like writing this whole story on one of those little bitty spirals. It's only about like 3 inches long. And she is writing the whole thing. Anytime she didn't know how to spell a word, she's 5 at the time. She just asked one of us and she'd write that word. And it was a real story. Believe me, I heard that story at least 10 times that weekend when she finished it. That's boredom, but that's also creativity. And that was growing her as well. So read through the summer. The gift of boredom, let your kids be bored. You just don't know what they're going to come up with. How about that negative attitudes? About all those screens. I know, because every time I ask y'all, it's the screens. It's the hardest thing. If the kids resist unplugging from their screen, then you need to ask yourself the first question. What am I modeling? Is that what they see? Screens aren't bad. They are a tool, but we need to teach balance and real rest. Again, this anxious generation, it is all about some studies that he did and the scientific evidence, especially from 2010 to 2015. I'm going to talk about that later. I will put a link to that book here in the show notes. But we need to regulate the screens, especially little kids. They shouldn't even have screens, basically. He says a child should not have a smartphone until 13, and then they should not have social media to 16. I agree with them personally. So how do we get rid of the negative attitudes? The first thing is our roots need to be in the Bible. I would encourage you, if you've got some attitudes, pick a verse for your whole family to memorize for the month of June, and one for July and one for August, that deals with whatever the negative, whatever the sin, whatever the problem is. And so you might find a verse about generosity, gratitude, kindness, patience, diligence, work ethic, whatever you're dealing with. And everyone memorizes it. And at the breakfast table, you recite it each morning, and maybe at the dinner table, or at least once a day, everyone has a turn to say that verse. Just saying it out loud can change the way that they think. Just go look at Psalms and the way that David spoke out loud to his soul to change his attitude. And so the Bible really is powerful. The word of God is live and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even through the heart and the sunder. And I can't remember the rest of the verse, but it is powerful. All right. Use God's word to build character, not just control behavior, not just behavior modification. Get to the heart of it and use the Bible to hit the heart. So, read through the summer, the gift of boredom, dealing with negative attitudes, especially with the Bible. And then I would say find one fun learning activity each week. One fun thing that week that learning can come alive and you have no curriculum, no nothing. I would say go to the library and you might find some activities. My favorite thing is food learning or eat your way through school or eat your way through homeschool. Several of the ones I will put in the show notes, directions on how to do this. Sell pizza, Jello cells, Oreo moon phases, Cat in the Hat. There's strawberries and bananas to make the little hat. Banana caterpillars. I have to tell you, I think it was last summer. Yeah, it was last summer. I was with the grandkids, and he was 2 or 3 at the time. And so I was looking for activities. So we took the banana and I cut it all up. And in between every little slice, you put peanut butter. And then on top, you can put raisins for the eyes. And I'm telling you, they loved doing it. He loved eating it. A week later, my daughter texts me and says, well, he wanted to make banana caterpillars again. And she sent me a picture of him with his banana caterpillar. That's cool. And you can talk about I mean, they can learn from it. How about under the sea graham crackers? We've got some directions on that. Science experiments. There are so many fun science experiments. I'll put a link to our simple summer science experiments that you can do. One thing I did one summer was I bought an animal dissection kit. We live less than a mile from, we live a mile from Texas A&M. I hired a grad student to come over once a week, and we dissected one animal a week. The 3 kids did. It gave me a break. They had fun. Someone else was teaching them. One of my daughters loved it. The other 2, as soon as it was over, they were out of the house and out playing. That boredom thing, like get outside and actually face-to-face play. But an animal dissection kit might be perfect for a middle schooler or a high schooler as well. Learn so much just from doing that. How about some creative projects? Each child chooses right now one long-term project that they're going to present to your family in August. And through the summer, they may research it, they may create it. Ashley one time made a life-size TP. Seriously, we went and got poles from the lumber store. We got canvas, sewed it together. She painted all around it. And out on the driveway, she made a life-size teepee. And she was studying North American Indians. So that would be a fun thing. Let them choose. Don't tell them. Let them own it. And you might be amazed at what they will produce and what they will learn. You have to see, summer learning doesn't have to be Pinterest perfect. It's about building memories, nurturing wonder, and keeping their minds and their hearts engaged. Just one activity a week could do that. But the reading, I think, should be daily. There's several things we've talked about. Your homeschool doesn't stop right now before we start the summer. Right now is June. It doesn't stop right now. It just breathes differently in a different rhythm throughout the next 3 months. So my challenge to you is pick one idea today and try it this week. Now, I will say, if you love what you heard, would you please subscribe and share this podcast with one homeschool friend? Check the show notes, find the activity that might fit you the best or that your kids might enjoy the best. And until next time, keep learning, keep laughing, and enjoy your homeschool coffee break. I'm Carrie Beck. We'll talk to you next time.